Warframe is a wake-up call by Legendary Drops. Link to the original video in the description. All right, let's check it out. I like Warframe. It's good. It's fun. It's kind of expensive, to be for real, if you want to actually play it. But there is a way to play it for free. You just have to not have a job.
Warframe is a wake-up call. Look, the phrases free-to-play and live service, whether by themselves or in combination with one another, don't fill players.
But that's the thing, is that Warframe you can actually play 100% free. It'll take a lot of time to get what you want. But the game is actually 100% playable for free. I don't know of a single thing that I can think of that's locked behind a paywall that you can't get by earning it. I could be wrong, but I can't think of anything. I mean, well, besides for some, like, founder items, yeah, but and maybe a few like super special cosmetics, and I'm not really a fan of that. You know, I remember a time, this is old me talking, but I remember a time whenever you turn on a video game and you'd play it and you would unlock stuff in the game. Like if you would unlock new outfits for your characters and new characters even, you know, just like fighting games especially have done really bad recently. Overall, though, I think Warframe is the most player-friendly live service game that exists, and the developers actively listen to their fans, which is the reason it's still alive. 100%.
Players with a lot of confidence, and they shouldn't, because they become synonymous with games and studios that are under-delivering on a product and service while asking for the absolute most from their audience.
Yeah.
More time, more engagement, more money, extracting as much as they possibly can while putting in the least amount of effort. Warframe is the most well-known yet under-discussed and underappreciated games in all of gaming. It's often referred to as the internet's best-kept secret, and I'm tired of it being a secret.
I don't think it's a secret. This is weird to me to say that. It's kind of like when people say, here's my list of my top 10 hidden gems. Number 1, Minecraft. It's like, okay, buddy.
Intents and purposes, Warframe is the blueprint by which...
I remember when I used to go... Sorry, I'll go back a little bit. I remember when I used to go to GameStop and I'd ask the guy, like, hey, I'm looking for like a co-op game, something multiplayer to play with my buddy, you know, my roommate at the time. And they'd be like, oh, well, have you heard of Minecraft? I'm like, yes, I've heard of fucking Minecraft. Oh, what about Call of Duty? And I was like, just get out of here, dude. Just fucking, I'll look myself. Just get out of here. I had one guy ever help me with that, and he pointed me to a website called Cooptimus, cooptimus.com, which has a list of every video game console and all of the co-op games for every console. Sometimes it gets it wrong, but most of the time it's pretty accurate.
Being a secret.
That guy was a help.
For all intents and purposes, Warframe is the blueprint by which many of these free-to-play games and live service games should be following, but they're not.
Yeah.
It's a game that is tirelessly supported by its developer and by its community in a way that I don't even think any other game can even replicate. And once you guys hear about some of this stuff, it's going to blow your mind.
I am hyped for their next game, by the way.
Free-to-play and live service is supposed to be a way for developers to be able to deliver a smaller product and grow it over time. Be able to deliver a valuable service, a valuable product, and grow it while the community supports it.
True.
And that's the kind of game that Warframe is. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Luckily, today's sponsor is actually the game that inspired Warframe. I've played World of Tanks multiple times over the years with my friends, and this is an easy suggestion to make. World of Tanks is one of the longest running...
What the fuck, dude? This guy is saying that Warframe came from... Oh, my God.
Free-to-play games on the market and has been actively supported for...
Warframe did not come from World of Tanks, dude.
For
no
a decade
way.
Now,
I refuse to believe it.
Over 100 million registered users, hundreds of tanks, and tons of customization, high-fidelity graphics, incredible sound design, and hundreds of hours of gameplay.
Oh, God.
The extensive arsenal includes tank destroyers, artillery...
Now, this is a pay-to-win game right here. These World of Tanks, World of Warships, I can't remember, War Thunder, these are pay-to-win games, straight up, where you will pay for a better tank or you will pay for a better airplane and then you will win the fight. And there are planes and tanks and ships, depending on what game you're in, that are specifically locked off to paid people that are the best ones in the game. I don't know.
Light, medium, and heavy tanks, providing you with a wide range of options for different combat strategies. It's a free-to-play game that brings you massive battles with a
I
huge
suck at
variety
this
of
game,
tanks.
by the
Whether
way.
you're charging in guns
I'm
blazing
ass.
or sneaking up on enemies, there's always a new way to play. And here's the best part. New players will get an amazing deal using the invite code COMBAT and the link in the description below. You'll get a Cromwell B Tier 6 British premium tank, 250,000 credits, in 7
You hear that? Premium tank, a.k.a. paid tanks, a.k.a. pay to win.
days of premium access. Plus, you'll get to try out 3 other Tier 6 tanks for 10 battles each. Just use the link in the description below to get started. So what is Warframe? It's a looter shooter, live service MMO with a third-person perspective. You play as a Warframe, you're dashing through levels, taking down enemies, farming up materials, currency, and
This guy's playing the game wrong.
other items so that you can continue to build
He's standing
more
still.
weapons and more Warframes to use. Warframes vary in their looks and abilities. Some of them play like a ninja, others like a battering ram or even a wizard. There's even a frame that lets you create your own music so that you can buff other players.
I do have that one, and I'm a Wukong main when I do play this game. Wukong is sick. He can copy himself. So there's 2 of you running around. He's got a giant ass staff. It's awesome.
You have pets, ships, clans, PvP, personal housing, boss fights, a roguelike, a fighting game, open worlds, and more. It has consistently stayed in the top 20 of the most played games on Steam for over a decade now. And in
That's
doing that,
crazy.
there is something inherently special here. If we look at the game's player base on Steam, while it's not burning the world down with insane peaks, it's maintained its player base consistently since 2013, and it's only continued to grow.
Yeah.
So how has Warframe maintained that success? Why is nobody talking about it? And unlike many other live service games, why aren't we hearing people complaining about it or how it mistreats its players? Well, to answer
Stockholm Syndrome, that's why.
that, we need to understand the game's history and that of its creators. Now, you may recognize the name Digital Extremes. Renowned for their early work on Unreal Tournament in partnership with Epic Games, they played a pivotal role in
Yeah.
shaping the landscape of multiplayer first-person shooters. They were among the first to popularize key features like online multiplayer, power weapons, team deathmatch, and capture the flag.
That's
laying the
crazy.
ground for many of the multiplayer games that we play today. After parting ways with
Hey, Unreal Tournament is still fun to this day.
Epic
as
Games,
well.
as Epic went on to make Gears of War with Xbox Studios, they decided to pitch their own game idea, and they tried to do it for over a decade. That game was called Dark Sector. They struggled to
Oh no, Dark Sector. That game sucks balls if it's the game I'm thinking of.
find a publisher for this dark sci-fi MMO concept that they had, and ultimately
Okay, I'm thinking of a different game. I'm thinking of a game where a dude runs around with like a spinny disc that he throws at people. Oh, it was so bad. I can't remember what it's called though.
Digital Extremes was forced into doing work for hire just to be able to keep the company afloat. The decision to take on work for hire projects, while necessary for financial stability, came with its own difficulties. The studio faced a cycle of hiring employees for specific projects and then laying them off once that project concluded. This
You
practice
said that is Dark Sector, the version the publishers forced them to make. Every time a publisher gets involved, you know it's about to be a bad decision. I don't know who gave these publishers their jobs. Well, probably their daddy. Daddy, I want to run a video game company. Will you buy one for me, Daddy? That's what I assume with how all these people got their jobs.
this is
Gears of War and RE4 were big.
commonplace for
True,
work for hire
true.
studios. However, it disrupted the lives of their employees and their families.
Oh, publishers are essentially investors. They just get way too much say. They get way too much say, dude, in companies or in the video games that are made. And they don't know what the gamers want most of the time. That's the big problem. He said, so why not make a clone of Gears of War and RE4? Yeah, true. Oh, well, they did great. We could do great, too. It's like, no.
It's a situation that the studio founder has regretted since then. He believed that publishers often lacked a clear vision, and that Digital Extremes would have been better
Yeah.
off just focusing on smaller, self-controlled projects.
They are always trying to chase the trend. That's what publishers are known for. They're trying to chase the trend and get as much money as possible. But the thing is to win big, you have to take risks. And a lot of these publishing houses are not willing to take the big risk. So if you want to make a game for them, it's got to be milk toast, you know? Also, the No-Clip documentary with Digital Extreme founder is interesting. Word. They negotiate with sponsors, handle the selling, promotion. Studios are just a workforce. How big of a say they have is based on equity. That's true, yeah. And that's funny because part of Warframe, they don't chase trends. Yeah, honestly, I think that's what keeps them relevant, ironically.
As seen with independent studios that tend to produce
Is that the Darkness? Did they work on the Darkness?
higher quality work when they're given full creative control. Despite the continuous efforts to pitch Dark Sector to publishers, the studio continued to face rejection, primarily due to a lack of interest when it came to sci-fi games on the side.
So these guys are some of my favorite developers. They helped make Unreal Tournament, they helped make The Darkness, and then they made Warframe.
Of publishers,
Damn.
a sentiment that somehow never even changed even with the success of Halo. In a desperate move, Digital Extremes caved to a publisher's demands, shifting Dark Sector from a sci-fi MMO to a game that emulated the success of Resident Evil 4 at the time. This change involved transforming the protagonist from a space ninja to a CIA operative named Hayden Tenno, which strayed very far from the original.
Hey, Tenno, though, you could see the bones, starting to form.
Original concept. The new version of Dark Sector struggled to be able to find an audience. However, it eventually did and gained respectable reviews as well.
Are you serious? It had respectable reviews? That game sucked, dude. That game sucked. Warframe added a battle pass, except it's the antithesis of a modern battle pass. It has no skip option and no paid version. You have to play the game to progress it. That's cool. I actually like that. My problem with battle passes is honestly those two things. So the fact that you actually have to play it and it's just like a seasonal thing that if you're a part of it, you get the items and you can kind of show them off a little bit. That's cool. I like that.
After the release of Dark Sector, the industry started to trend away from AA releases to AAA games, and this made for more issues at Digital Extremes. The studio, which had previously worked on BioShock's multiplayer and The Darkness 2, found itself struggling to find any contracts as they began to dry up and publishers wanted to start making games in-house. Observing the success of free-to-play games like World of Tanks in 2010, Digital Extremes saw an opportunity in an emerging market. They didn't see free-to-play as a way to be able to milk players. They recognized and saw the potential to be able to create something smaller and grow the game over time rather than trying to pursue a traditional release.
That move was big.
Facing imminent financial collapse with only 12 months of funds remaining, Digital Extremes decided to pursue a long-held vision for what used to be Dark Sector.
Jeez Louise. So these guys were coming down to the wire, and they went, you know what? We're going to slap our balls on the table and see if it leaves a sweat mark. That's sick.
And then was now codenamed Lotus. Within 2 months, they developed a working demo featuring spaceship raids and procedurally generated loot and layouts with an emphasis on co-op and PvE gameplay, recognizing there was a gap in the market.
There's still a huge gap in good PvE gameplay. A lot of me and my friends, we love co-op games, but there really aren't that many of them. You get a lot of multiplayer games for sure, but you don't get a whole lot of co-op. You barely get any. And I think that this is actually a hugely underserved market, is for co-op PvE focused gameplay. Realistically, there's a lot of people, especially people that are 30 years old or older who are gaming, that would rather have this as their online experience rather than playing versus some 10-year-old who's going to kill you 12 times in a row and ask you how their balls taste, I'm not a fan of it. Actually, I am. I love online multiplayer. I'm kind of a glutton for punishment, though. In one of the interviews, they basically said, we have to do it now or else we never will. That's sick. That's so sick. I'm a big-time pause champ, dude. You like it when kids do what? No, I said No, wait. Oh, man, no. That's out of context. I love it. I love getting destroyed in multiplayer games. It just so happens that kids destroy me all the time because they're the best at the game. All right. Let me just spell it out. No, I know, but this is the internet. R6 and Fortnite are biggest examples. Oh my god, yes, dude. Holy shit. Here's one of the unsung features of Warframe. If you play on solo mode and you hit the pause button, it's a pause button. Yeah, dude. True, because there's a lot of online multiplayer games that if you play it solo, it just won't let you pause still.
They approached free-to-play publishers.
Dog, you know what's funny? I don't even use a gun in this game. I just run around and kill people with my fists. I punch people.
Asking for support, but they were getting rejected yet again. Undeterred, Digital Extremes decided to self-fund the project with only 9 months of funds remaining. wanting to give it their all rather than simply just walk away.
That's sick.
The development of the alpha version of the game saw significant involvement from Rebecca Ford, an intern who led the
You said it's one of the biggest games on the Steam decks, also known as the parent console.
creation of their community
Yeah.
team. This team was crucial in gathering and responding to player feedback, a strategy that helped shape the game's development and ultimately its success. Embracing the success of Kickstarter campaigns that were going on at the time, Digital Extremes introduced supporter packs to raise additional funds. This approach, while initially slow, proved ultimately effective and demonstrated that there was an audience for their game. Thus, Warframe was born. A game over a decade in the making who had faith in itself.
It looks really good, though. I mean, you could tell they had their vision, and they followed through with it.
Scorned by an industry, nobody else wanted to make it except for them. It released into beta on Steam in 2013 to over 20,000 players and has only continued to grow since. Over the years, I've come to realize that the vast majority of the studios that we grew up loving, the games that we grew up loving, the biggest studios and publishers that are out there all came from very similar humble beginnings.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of them forgot about it.
True. Or realistically, this is what I say about video game developers most of the time. It seems they've managed to hang on to their good people, which means they probably pay them well. The issue with these big game companies like BioWare, for example, that just kept expanding until the point they started making out shit games, is part of it is some of the highest level or the highest skill developers that you have are going to move on to make their own stuff. They're going to move on eventually to start doing their own things if you don't pay them what they're worth, which most companies are not willing to do. So they move on, they start making their own things. The people who are left at the company are the people who are not the best developers, they're worse. They move up, now maybe they move on and do new things. And now the new senior staff, 12 years later, 20 years later, is the worst of the worst from 20 years ago, you know? Said, or they turn into Bungie.
And the ones
Bungie, man. Oh.
that don't end up being the ones that are the most loved and appreciated. Look at Larian Studios. Their story is almost identical.
What a fall off for Bungie, for real. I mean, it wasn't as meteoric, but I don't know, dude. The whole, like, going from Halo to Destiny alone is kind of a downgrade, in my opinion. You know, no offense to people who like Destiny, but in my opinion, it was a downgrade in terms of lore, in terms of gunplay, pretty much everything. And by the way, 343 has never put out a good game as well. So Bungie, I wish, would have just stayed with Halo. But then to do Marathon, oh, shit. The wild part is Bungie could have kept making Halo, but no, they wanted to make Destiny. Oh, my God. Dude, that's crazy to me. Holy crap. Oh, God, I hate that. I hate that for us.
To Digital Extremes. They started off making their own games to limited success. They did work for hire for a while just to be able to keep the doors open. When that industry started to dry up and move away, they went to go make their own game in Divinity Original Sin. They danced with bankruptcy, almost losing the entire studio,
Larian.
but they found an audience that wanted to support it, and now look at them.
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate 3 is heralded as one of the greatest games of all time.
You know, it's a little overblown for that fact. It's a fun RPG for sure, but one of the greatest of all time? I don't know, dude. I don't know about all that.
They blew up.
It's a really fun game. You know, it's a 9 out of 10 for me, for sure. But in recent time, yes. In recent time, definitely. What up, Ogram? Yeah, in recent times, I would say, yeah, probably one of the best RPGs. But that's not, you know, being one of the best video games in the past 10 years is a lot like being the prettiest girl at a fat camp, you know? It's really not that much of an accomplishment. We haven't seen a game that everyone agrees with is actually amazing in a while, and that is one of the first ones that did that. That and, like, Red Dead 2 was a really big one that everybody kind of loved, at least most people did. So yeah, I'd say, like, there's a couple of them, but yeah, I would agree that in the past 10 years, that's one of the biggest ones, one of the best ones, really. Baldur's Gate 3. I played all the way through it. Man, fuck GTA 6, get us Red Dead 3. Man, even fuck that. Just update the online of Red Dead 2, dude. Red Dead 2 was left in a bare bones state online, and then they just abandoned it because they couldn't sell us endless flying cars and bullshit. So, and dude, the whole gold system where they added a premium currency to the game, whereas in GTA you could just buy dollars, but and that like kind of made the economy work with how you could buy stuff and play stuff, and everything was like with Warframe, you could play your way through GTA 5 technically and earn everything. Whereas in Red Dead 2, you get like 0.01 gold every hour and a half of gameplay, and you need 200 gold to get anything useful at all, and usually like 500. Uh, yeah, and it's running at 30 FPS on the current gen consoles. Uh, yeah, no, they left it far behind. Red Dead 2, what a disappointment. Me and all the boys were hyped for the online. And we had total cope. We played it for like a year straight. We were playing it, just totally coping, thinking they were gonna do great things with it. Eventually, we all gave up.
As they deserve to do so. When I look around the industry right now, I see a lot of studios that are making games not because they want to make them, but because they're profit motivated.
Oh yeah,
purely profit motivated. They no longer look at players as.
And look, I don't have a problem with being profit motivated. For sure, you're a company. You should want to make money. It'd be incredibly foolish of you to not want to make money. But at the same time, like there's got to be passion behind it, you know? One game I want to see to make a comeback, or a series rather, is the Legacy of Kain. God, dude, I would love a new Legacy of Kain game. Holy shit, dude. The greatest story in all of video games. If you guys don't know the story of Legacy of Kain, I would not recommend going and playing through the games. They're clunky. Honestly, they're very old and not very good anymore. They didn't really hold up with the test of time. But the story, oh shit, dude. And I'm not usually a guy for story in video games, but this one, man.
Anything other than tools for making money, and that's it. Rather than looking at them for what they actually are, which is a means to be able to deliver a higher quality product, use their feedback and their information to be able to earn their money, and then by extension, make your game even that more popular.
True.
Because when players are happy, they tend to talk about it a heck of a lot more. And
I think that video game companies are seriously underestimating how important word of mouth is for video game marketing. Look at Pal World, or look at any of these big indie games that popped up. Vampire Survivors, you know, any of these games. They popped up through word of mouth because, in the same vein of it, there's been a lot of video games that have failed recently just because a lot of people online said it's going to suck. Not even that it did suck, just that it is going to suck, and so it failed and no one bought it. Gamers are a much more in tune with what's happening audience than any other form of media. Like, we're going to know, a lot more of us are going to know Randy Pitchford is a fucking asshole. We're going to know Bobby Kotick was a pedophile who was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein. Like, you know, we know about these things because gamers are more involved in the economy of information, I guess. Here's a wild stat. Sony in a shareholder meeting some years ago said that they had 6 live service games in development from first-party or third-party studios. Here's what happened with those 6 games. Concord, whew, the grandpappy of failures. Holy crap. Helldivers 2, yeah, true. The canceled Spider-Man Into the Multiverse game, it's so sad, although it probably would have been bad. Canceled The Last of Us standalone factions game. Is The Last of Us? Yeah, I didn't like those games, to be fair. Actually, Last of Us 1 was alright. It was fine. The gameplay was not very good. Story was really good, but Last of Us has done irreparable damage to the gaming industry, because now Neil fucking Druckmann, everybody thinks they're some Hollywood guy now, and they all want to make a big Hollywood movie where you can barely play the game because of The Last of Us and its success. Look at God of War. God of War went from being a badass game where you were one dude running around killing shit, and then it turned into Dad of Boy walking simulator. I don't know if you guys could tell, but I do not like the new God of War games at all. I'm not a fan. I think they ruined it. I really do. Then again, For context, not really a huge fan of Norse mythology, and I think Greek mythology is the coolest and best mythology out there. So honestly, gameplay was ass, lore was good. Yeah, fair enough. And for me, like I say, Norse mythology really isn't for me. It's not one of my big pulls, I guess. Shit, dude. I played Assassin's Creed Odyssey because that's how into Greek mythology I am. Like, and that game was bad. That game was not good, and I played almost all the way through it. You said 6 games, 1 is still going on. Yeah, Helldivers 2. And even then, Helldivers 2, literally every couple of months, they decide to shoot themselves in their foot. And then they start to slowly patch it up, and just as that foot gets healed, they shoot themselves in the other foot. Over and over and over again. The new Warhammer 40k outfits that they released, the crossover, they look horrible. It doesn't even look like Warhammer 40k. It just looks like Helldivers. Like, where are my Kriegsmarine, dude?
Also notice that, games are a form of art, and without soul, there is no art. And in the case of games,
that.
I think a lot of players are starting to wake up and realize they can see it in your trailers, they can see it in your gameplay, they can see it when the soul isn't there.
I don't like the idea that video games are art. I think this ties into the problem that I've talked about with Neil Druckmann, actually, and The Last of Us and God of War and all that, is that they're so obsessed with trying to make themselves look like artists that they forget that they're game makers. Like, do you think that Gary Gygax was sitting around, the guy who made D&D, do you think Gary Gygax was sitting around thinking about how totally artistic he was and how, like, people are going to just love this? No. No, he wanted to make a war game for his buddies. By the way, all of the original creators of D&D have come out and said that D&D was never made for theater kids ever. It was never made for anybody like that. It was made for 20 to 30-year-old dudes who liked to play war games but wanted a little bit more going on. That's what D&D was made for, by the way. Just so you guys can understand that. There's a whole thing going around right now where all these people are trying to say that D&D was always a theater kids thing, and that started about 10 years ago. It was not always that, and it wasn't that for a long, long time.
And when they know it's there and they see it's there, they're into that game. But when they don't see it, they don't want to have anything to do with it. And I think that's why we've seen a lot of games over the last few years fail.
Yeah.
Digitally.
No, I don't agree. I mean, I agree, but theater kids, no. Nerds, yes. Yeah, and there is a crossover. Don't get me wrong. There's a crossover there, for sure. But these were nerds who wanted to feel badass, I, for some reason, always associate World of Warcraft and D&D. That's actually a perfect thing to say. That makes so much sense because they've both been turning their stuff, they've been sanitizing it, is the best way to put it. D&D and World of Warcraft have been sanitizing their worlds to where they don't exist anymore, if that makes sense. Like, for example, D&D is bringing back this thing. It was like this whole system where it was supposed to be super dark fantasy, to where they had like slavery and brutal torture and shit like that. And they brought it back and they took all that stuff out. They took out the torture, they took out the slavery because, those things are not good. The point is that they're not good. The point is that it's dark and brutal. And then you take it out. This is what's happening without all of it. Can we agree that WoW was a mistake? WoW did a lot of damage to MMOs. I think back to Star Wars Galaxies and how World of Warcraft not only caused them to change the game completely, but also eventually killed it. World of Warcraft is another one of those Last of Us situations where it was a good game, at least for a time, but it was also a mistake because it did huge damage to the gaming industry. It's like whenever GTA 6 pops off, and because GTA 6 has already made a profit. I don't know if you guys know this, but it's already made a profit. And whenever that really pops off, that's going to do huge damage to the game industry because games are going to start costing $80 for the light version and $100 for the full version, honestly. You said it was a good game, was, at its peak, the best thing ever. Now it's shit. True. But it was the first big MMO. Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know. It was the first. Yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. You are right in a way. It was the first mainstream MMO. It was the first one that really had big numbers. So I can't disagree with that, but I don't know. Devs are trying to compete with Warframe in a completely wrong way. No, I mean he said no. I mean they will try to even put $250 for a game. Who will buy it? Oh, they'll try to. I agree, dude. They will. They're gonna try to get us for every dollar they can get. It's funny how they want to use this argument that video games are getting more expensive to make. They're getting more expensive to make. I thought you guys weren't making discs anymore. I thought you guys said you were done with physical media because that's like 42% of your cost right there was producing and shipping these discs. So there's a huge cut out of what it takes to make a video game already. I don't think you need all this money, guys. Maybe this is just me, but maybe you could stop paying Android Wilson and Bobby Cuckdick $100 million a year as a bonus for being a CEO of a company. CEOs realistically do basically nothing. They do basically nothing, and you're paying him $100 million, $200 million a year to make World of Warcraft worse? That's crazy, guys. That's crazy. EA Sports FIFA Club 27 Ultimate Edition is $150. Oh my god. So this is why I have 100 or 450 game backlog.
Streams started out with
I do hear that.
great intentions, to be honest with you.
Oh my god.
But that doesn't mean that they didn't make the same mistakes that many other free-to-play and live service games make time and time again, and that's with its monetization.
Yeah.
But the difference is they learn from their mistakes. I don't think anybody...
The 21st century tech pipeline. Innovation, mass adoption, and shitification, profit. Oh, I hate how right you are. I hate how correct you are there. Oh,
Nobody
my
can disagree
God.
with this. Recently, over the last few years, both live service and free-to-play games have permeated through every space in the entire gaming industry.
True. Dude, my trash bags got smaller. I've been buying the same trash bags for a year now, basically. And now all of a sudden, they're like a whole half a foot shorter, and they don't fit inside my trash can anymore. They're the same price. It's the same box of trash bags. What the fuck?
Every single company wants their Fortnite, Counter-Strike, Genshin Impact, whatever it might be, and of
He
course
said you
they
need to add unnecessary AI gimmick to that. That comes after the profit part.
because they draw in revenues. It would make you wonder why anybody would ever want to make another full-priced game again.
True. You know, Asmongold actually does say something that's super prescient here, though, is that a lot of these game companies, you know, there's the whole too big to fail thing, right, that they talk about. But I think he makes a good point to where a lot of these game companies are actually too big to succeed now. They're just too big to succeed. They can't succeed because they've got too much, which is a weird thing to think of. But like Ubisoft, for example, whenever Assassin's Creed Valhalla came out, which was like the last Assassin's Creed game that people didn't say was complete garbage. Some people played it. They were $300 million in debt with an M. And then today, they're $4 billion in debt. They've just completely they've continued to slip. But up until the point of Valhalla, they were selling their games like hotcakes. Like, Ubisoft was not really considered Ubislop yet. Like, real gamers were seeing it. But most of the, like, regular normie fucks, they didn't see it, you know? So it's weird that they continued to lose money forever and ever. Part of that is due to the antiquated French protections for their employees, where they're super, super protected to the point to where you don't have to do your job, and you can like not do your job for 6 months, and then on the very last day do your job once, and then they can't fire you type shit. I mean, I'm obviously exaggerating, but it is that way. Like, France has the strongest worker protections in the world, and ironically, because of that, makes some of the worst products. It's weird, but that is the way it works. You got to find the middle ground. You know, you don't want companies running roughshod over your people, but you also don't want the employees, like the basic scrubs running around running the game either. Said, here's the thing: if Microsoft fails, the world economy collapses. And you know, I'm not necessarily against that happening. It's like the whole thing where Trump came out and said, or Pam Bondi, not Trump, sorry. Pam Bondi came out. That was Trump's DOJ girl. She said, if we arrested everybody on the Epstein files, then the world would collapse. And I'm like, okay, your terms are acceptable. Let's arrest them all. Your terms are acceptable. Let's let it collapse. 10 great artists equals great art. 500 great artists plus 20 great artists equals shit art games. Yes, true. Can't really be incorporatized on a massive scale like EA and Microsoft have tried. That's true. Because you need a certain art style and you can't have more than 10 artists in a room that all agree with each other. That is a good point. That's a really good point. You have 200 people, everyone with different opinions on how some part of the game should work or look and up. Yep. Dude, the last place I worked was a marijuana cultivation facility. I was in plant health and water fertigation. We had 7 people on our team, and we could not agree what the best methods were to take care of the plants. With 7 people. I could only imagine 200 people all cooking in the same kitchen. 1,000 people all cooking in the same kitchen. This explains why Microsoft had so many layoffs recently. Asha said point blank, every change we went through, 10 people to be added. Well, all right, but there is a little bit of context to the Asha, whatever her name is. Oh gosh, she sure has fired a bunch of people. That's for sure. And then Microsoft asked the company with H1B visas, right? These are the like medium skill to low skill worker visas that come over to America. They're not the high skill visas. They are advertised that way, but they're not. They're like medium to low tier skills. They're still skilled, but they're medium to low tier. And what Asha has done, and this is a theory because, like I said, with H-1B visas, sorry, I got distracted. H-1B visas, you can't tell what part of a company they go into. You can only tell as a whole. Microsoft has taken in more H-1B visas than the people they've fired by about 2,000 people. So realistically, what Asha did is fire a bunch of Americans and then hire a bunch of her own countrymen. That's realistically what happened, you know? That is the truth. She didn't go and fire everybody. She just replaced them with a cheaper workforce that's, I don't know.
With the introduction of free-to-play live service games, we've seen year over year, month over month, players are...
To be fair, cheaper workforce. She did get the cheaper workforce, which is part of the money thing, but I don't know. I'm not really a big fan of that at all. Even a little bit. Cheaper and far worse. Well, that's also the issue. Xbox as a division was literally bleeding money by the buckets. Oh, I think that Xbox has been garbage for a while, and no matter how bad of a CEO Asha is, no matter any of that, she will never be as bad as Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer was a complete joke. Phil Spencer was a spineless coward who could not get a single thing done in his entire career. Yeah, cheaper to make someone's pockets bigger, but not really the company's. Yeah, just the CEO at the top. Just Asha. She's going to fill her pockets. Just whoever's, I don't know, is Bill the monster pedophile Gates still in charge of Microsoft too? Because I don't really like even buying Xbox products for that reason, Like, realistically, I don't buy anything on the Xbox marketplace because it's connected to Bill Gates, and I vote with my wallet, I don't even think Bill does anything anymore, so he just collects a paycheck. Yeah. Dude, Bill Gates, that's one of those people that needs to just be fucking locked up forever. And that's me saying this on Twitch. My values are more extreme than that. This is the soft version. Oh, yeah, big time. The lead designer of Fallout left Bethesda for just the same problem. Yeah, in addition, a lot of people are being hired for DEI reasons and tax breaks. So you have all those people who aren't doing anything except organizing useless meetings, which waste real dev time. HR is the biggest problem with every company. I think that HR is a completely ridiculous thing. It should not exist. Human resources is the dumbest department you could possibly have. It slows things down and makes things worse every single time. If you want someone to protect you legally, like you want someone to protect your company legally, go to a strip mall and hire one of those lawyers. I'm sure they would be happy to work for the same wage that an HR person would, but they'd actually be doing a valuable job rather than all right, so for example, in the weed industry, you pretty much get you get some pretty hard people, some pretty weird people too. And your best employees every single time are the dudes who make bad jokes. And those dudes keep getting fired because HR is there. When I first worked at this weed place, for the first year I worked there was no HR for the first 6 months. People were getting raised based on their merit. People were getting promotions based on their merit. And nobody was getting fired for making a bad joke. They might get talked to, but nobody was getting fired for making a bad joke. And then we got an HR lady who, by the way, let's tie this in some even more. This HR lady was from Poland and barely spoke any English. And yet her entire job was to communicate, because that's what HR is. So we had a communications officer who could not speak the language and proceeded to fire all our best employees every time they made a little joke. We had one guy whose wife was black, and he called her the N-word with an A at the end. And he got fired for that because somebody walked past and heard him say it to her. It's crazy. He said, it sounds exactly like my software. He said, blah, 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 just learned Polish. Oh, my God. Yeah, it was crazy, dude. It was absolutely crazy.
We're losing ground.
Meanwhile, the CEO's showing up, and only in video form, of course, because he never actually showed up to his job once. And he has a wall of Jordans behind him in a glass case, probably $500,000 worth of shoes. Who knows what kind of stuff that dude's doing behind closed doors. No, I'll tell you this, no straight man buys that many shoes. But anyways, and then he's coming in once a year to have this big meeting and telling us all how hard he's worked throughout the year, how much work he's put in. It's like, dog, we haven't seen you at the facility once. This is our only facility. We all know you're full of shit. Every single one of us in here knows you're full of shit. But here we are clapping along because you're our boss.
Losing choice and losing their money. Free-to-play has become synonymous with cutting content and player achievement and putting a price tag on it. While the gameplay itself is free, the model has incentivized developers to paywall everything in the game or put in absurd time restrictions and hurdles for players to be able to overcome just so they can try to earn anything with their own time or their own skill.
It's a really annoying part about modern games where it feels like if I want to earn anything in the game, I have to basically play for 10 hours to even earn a single item. And it's like, games used to give you instant gratification. Bam, 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 new thing, new thing, new thing, new thing, all the time. And now it's like every 10 hours you get a drip feed of a new item or something, if you're lucky. Some games won't even give you cosmetics, like, what's that game that everybody loves, but it's actually shit? Arc Raiders. Arc Raiders, dog. And by the way, every outfit in Arc Raiders was completely made by a blue-haired, fucking art kid who never had any friends because it all looks like shit. Every outfit they have looks like shit besides for like 2 of them. And you can't earn any of them. They all cost money. It's crazy. Oh my God. Bum ass meetings over the socialize in the office and how to take fucking proper breaks. Each meeting lasts 30 minutes to an hour, which fully ruins your train of thought. Yes, they would do that once a week to us, dude. They would do that once a week, pull us out and do a meeting with the managers. And every time it would be the same thing. It would be like, hey, make sure you're actually doing your job right. And it's like, I am. Tell this to the fucking idiots in the back and let me keep doing my job. Jesus. Hot take, people, or wait, it's like the CEO and HR made the same idiot school, or yeah, went to the same idiot schools. Yeah, absolutely all of them, no excuse. True. Hot take, people like it more that way. Look at our OSRS. I know, dude. I know. I don't know why it is, though. I think it's because, I guess I live next to a racetrack, sorry. I guess it's because people are all fucking losers now, or something. I don't know. You work from them, you take a lot of grains, I'm just going to say it that way. You take care not to ruin the shop reputation, and in the end, he says he did it solo. Yep, every time, dude, every time. I mean, shit, dude, my old place was real bad. My last place was real bad. I'll get into it more one day.
Studios today are incentivized to actively
the
harm
only
the
one
player
working
experience
hard. Yeah, it was
and
all
lower
him.
the quality of the
course.
overall product, all in the...
Even though his daddy bought the business for him in the first place. You know, it's crazy. Our chief financial officer, I was walking around one day and I'm like, huh, That's weird. Our CFO has the same last name as is in the company, like the parent company or whatever. And it's like, and then my buddy tells me, he's like, yeah, that's because he's the owner's son. I'm like, oh. And then I'm like, well, who's our CEO? And it's like, that's his cousin. I'm like, oh, of course it is. By the way, we would get paid late all the time. This guy could not do his job for dick. He was so bad at it. The chief financial officer was absolutely useless. Yeah, him and his useless HR girl. Yep.
In the name of
time.
higher profits. Digital Extremes was incredibly nervous about getting into free-to-play because they were afraid that they were going to do it wrong, and in fact, they did. At first, they started selling power. And
well, in DEI policies, by the way, we kind of brushed over that, but I'll go back to it real quick. DEI policies kind of they it's like from a high-minded point of view where like you might think you're doing good things, but you're not. You're actively hurting companies, you're actively hurting people. To prop somebody else, you have to put somebody else at the bottom. And so whenever you're saying you need to hire this many of this group, this many of that group, and so on and so forth, you're doing that at the expense of other groups every single time. And really what we should be doing is that you should be forced to hire based on merit and skill. Not based off of some immutable characteristic that you can't even change, Like, because and this might be, like, I'm not trying to pour me over here or whatever, but because I'm a white guy, it is way harder to get a job, and it's way harder to get a promotion once I have a job. Because they don't want to promote me because they have enough of me. They already met their quota. So even if, and I'm not saying I'm always the best, but even if I am the best, I will not get promoted because they have enough of me already. The white guys that were there when it started got boosted up, and now any more white guys are just left at the bottom, can't possibly earn ever again. It sucks. It's very strange to me. It is. I don't like this whole, and honestly, I would argue that DEI is racist. I would argue that DEI is very racist, actually.
it wasn't the reputation that they wanted to create for themselves. At the creation of Warframe, you could double the capacity of your mod or skill tree slots in your Warframes. However, there was no way to be able to earn this in-game, and the only way that you could get it was by paying for it with real money.
Oh, damn.
Early on, before the game's beta release, Digital Extremes saw the players' feedback regarding this issue and removed it and any other perceived pay-for-power microtransactions.
That's sick, dude. All right, yeah. I knew I liked these guys. That's so awesome. So they saw something, the players hated it, and they took it out. That's why I like Samuel Jackson when he said, "We don't have a White History Month because we don't want one," Samuel. Exactly. Me neither. You can't force cultural mixing and acceptance. DEI is like telling some students, hey, be nice to the autistic kids and bring them into class so they feel like they belong. Yeah, well, and ironically, do you know which group of people has benefited by far the most out of DEI? And this is a statistical fact. This isn't me just like talking shit or whatever. The group that has benefited the most from DEI is white women. White women are the group that has benefited by far the most from DEI practices. And it's not even close. So skill, determination, the open-minded to do work for 2 to 3 people. Nah, just show up and kiss my ass. Yeah, make sure you're the right fucking skin color and the right gender. And then you'll get a promotion. I'd say it's Indians, at least in tech. Well, and that's part of the H-1B scam, is because they can bring them over. By the way, their own government has been coming out and saying that most of the, I think they said 89% of the college degrees that come out of India are fake. Like, straight up, they're just fake degrees. And that's their government saying it, not us. That's them saying it. So, almost 90% of all college degrees that come out of there are literally fake. They come over here, they take our high-paying jobs, which, it's like, dude, you know, you want to make the argument for nobody wants to pick strawberries for $5 an hour? It's a ridiculous argument, but you can make the argument, whatever. You can never make the argument to me that there's nobody in America willing to do a coding job for $120,000 an hour. You know? $80,000 an hour. You cannot tell me that that there's no people like that. It's also because Indians are hired through loopholes 10 times less than minimum wage. Yeah, well, and they are basically beholden to the company, so they want to do it that way too. So they basically have their own slaves. That's what most of immigration is actually used for. There is like a positive thought behind immigration for sure, but the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And like what I mean by that, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. It's like, yeah, you could say, oh well, we should let everybody over because we need more high skilled people, or these people are refugees. But in the end, what you're doing is screwing over your own people so that you can help out a group of people that shouldn't even really matter to you yet because our own people are struggling. When you hire a village of coders with that money in India, yeah, you can hire a whole village of them, and they'd be scamming on the side.
Transactions,
Oh my
vowing
God.
for fair monetization to be a core tenet of the studio moving forward. In that move and other changes that they made due to their deep involvement in the early
Having software
foundation.
dev jobs for Estonia's government tools, applications, and sites. South Korean as well. Damn, dude. Well, the thing is, India has so many people in it, like so many people, that actually the entire world is being flooded with Indian people right now. Like, not just America, but Canada. Canada has seen it hugely. They're projected, whites are projected to be a minority in Canada in about 10 years. I think it said 13 years is what it actually said. But yeah, that's how fast it happened there. Like everywhere, Japan just signed a deal with India so they could bring over way more people. America is making it easier to get H-1Bs. J.D. Vance's wife is an Indian lady. Vivek Ramaswamy, Kash Patel, all these people in high-power jobs they're coming in and they're bringing their friends over. Which, of course, if I was them, I would probably be doing the same thing. But that doesn't make it okay, you know? Oh, you said I used to be a booster in games for a lot of the time. Now the price is too low. Damn. That must have been fun. 100%. Have you noticed the Indians have found out about TikTok and YouTube Shorts? Oh, God, yes, dude. You know what really fucks me up is fucking Elon Musk coming out recently and saying he's sending Starlink to the most rural places of India. And literally everybody in the comments is like, please, Elon, stop, dude. Stop, man. Fucking stop doing it. We don't need this. Like, everybody's asking for the ability to block every country but the one they're from, basically. Like, that's what I want. I want to be able to get onto Twitter and only see Americans because those are the opinions that matter to me with what I'm looking at on there. And then maybe a few other countries like Japan, or maybe Britain. So places that are closer to me, but ideologically, I guess. But that's it. But all the time I'm hopping on here, I see someone who looks like a regular American, and they're saying like they post this heinous thing like that makes you want to hate women or hate white people or hate black people, and then you click on their profile and you see it says they're from India. So they're also going out of their way to make us hate each other. And every time, it's not just like this happens. It's always either India or Africa. Every time I see one of these hate threads that's on X that has no sensibility or anything, it's actually crazy. I'm glad he added that. Although when he did add that, we found out that most of our government departments are run inside of Israel, Tel Aviv specifically, which was crazy to see, but not shocking. Dude, every 10 TikTok shorts or videos I've seen Indians in sandals repairing like bowls or crushing stones. Ugh. 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 I'm getting out. No, but I am sick of it, dude. I am realistically sick of it, Like, I don't, it's like I'm not hating the group of Indian people, right? I'm not here to hate on Indians, but I am here to love Americans. And I'm sorry, but, no matter how long you've lived in America, unless your grandparents were born here, you're not American. That's how I feel. Unless your grandparents were born here, you're not an American. It's $2 an hour. The electricity bill is almost cost that much. Damn. Have you seen the meme where they build a bridge for $300K? Oh my God, and it was just a little water pipe. It was literally just a tiny little water pipe in the ground with the bridge was like 5 feet long. I saw that. Yeah. Yeah, dude. I don't know. It's like this whole thing of like, well, we need high skilled labor. We need to bring over great people. And it's like, well, dude, You're importing them from a place that they like. So, let me put it this way: if the average IQ of a country is 80, and your IQ is 90, and then you move to a country that's average IQ is 100, you have now effectively made both countries dumber.
Of their games community, they fostered a positive community spirit and gained even more support. In an interview 6 years ago with Danny O'Dwyer of No Clip Documentaries, they mentioned how
why are we taking their best and their brightest? Because clearly, when you look at India and you see trash mountains, or you look at Africa and the kids literally aren't eating and they're starving to death and all this stuff, like clearly they need the best of the best. So why are we taking them? We don't need them. We've got plenty of great in America, dude. We've got so many college students who can't find a job. They need them. 40 to 110 sounds a bit like what's going on. Oh my god, and they say they built America and shit. It's crazy, dude. I'm gonna put this statistic out here right now, and it's like, it's not racist to tell the truth, all right? So America in 1920, whatever, I think it was 1920, we were 92% white. We were a 92% white country in the year 1920. And the other 7% was black people, and then the last 1% were non-white, non-black people. The last 1% of that. And even then, it was like a small margin of that. It wasn't even 1%. To say that you built the country whenever you were never even here is crazy. We didn't even allow non-white immigrants into our country until like the 1960s with the Hart-Celler Act. So it's actually insane whenever I hear that kind of stuff. Right? It's like, we built the country. It was actually all immigrants. And it's like, yeah, where were the immigrants from? Where were the immigrants from? Were they from Britain and Spain and Ireland, or were they from India? Because I'll tell you, they weren't from India. I can tell you that for a fact. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. To be fair, this is my problem with Americans a little. Ever since America was founded, you guys advertised it as the land of the free. Anyone could come with America. America's known as sort of land of the free, home of everyone, but only in recent years you guys started to notice this. Well, let me put this into perspective. So this was not always the case. Like I said, the Hart-Celler Act in the 1960s was the reason. That's the reason why we have opened our borders to everybody. That's when it happened. So we actually were never that. Even further back than that, we were called the melting pot. Do you know where the melting pot saying came from? Because it didn't come from an American. It didn't even come from someone who had ever even been to America. This dude had never even visited America. It was a playwright. His name was Israel. And I'm not kidding you. It was a playwright named Israel who said America is the melting pot of the world. I'm not making any statements or anything, but that's who said it. It wasn't us. I mean, just saying there are a lot of Euro countries have always accepted immigrants, just not from everywhere. No, we didn't. We straight up didn't until the 60s. Except Poland. What other country? Well, until Hitler, right? That's the truth. Until the big H came around, and then everybody... It's like whenever you start to swerve off the road, and then you overcorrect, and now you flip a million times, and your car blows up. That's what we've done, The big H came out, and he started doing all this crazy shit, and then everybody was so afraid to be called racist or anything that they allowed to get their countries destroyed because they were afraid of hurdy words. After World War II, shit changed big time. World War II was our 9/11 when people had an awakening. Yeah, and our awakening with 9/11 allowed us to spy on our own people and all this other horrible shit with the Freedom Act and all this stuff. I don't know. Yeah, it was bad. The guy who owned the Twin Towers pulled out terrorist insurance 3 weeks before 9/11 happened, and then even though he was notorious for showing up every day, called out of work when it happened. They take the immigration thing serious and don't bring other workforce. Dude, realistically, if I was in charge, I would shut down immigration for at least 20 years. completely. And I mean from every country. Every single country. Birthright citizenship would end day one. You would not be able to become an American citizen just because you're born here. That's crazy. That's actually insane. Like, you would need to be born to at least one parent. And even then, now this might sound horrible, but I'm going to say it anyway. Even then, if your parent became a technical citizen, I would not consider them a full citizen. I would consider them a 25% citizen when they move here. When they have a kid, that kid is 50% citizen. So now they have the protections of the Constitution, but they still can't vote. No voting. And then the third generation, that's whenever you become an actual American. That's if your grandparents were citizens, then that's when you become an actual citizen. Don't look at statistics, that's racist. It's extremely telling that if an AI is not bogged down with that, then they always end up racist every single time. It's very funny to me. Like Mecha Hitler with Grok, you know? As soon as you create a device that's sole purpose is to notice patterns, you end up with this problem regularly.
How difficult it was for them to be able to find any marketing or visibility, because at the time, nobody wanted to touch free-to-play games.
And I feel like these things, 20 years ago, none of this, what I'm saying, would be controversial at all. This would just be like a normal conversation between two people. But today you say stuff like this, and now people get angry at you, they yell, they freak out, and they think that you're this evil monster. And it's like, no, dude, I'm just a dude trying to make sure that America is best for Americans. I don't care if America is good for you if you're not American. I don't. I really don't at all. I only care if it's good for me and my people. That's it. That's it. You said Warframe is peak free-to-play games. It is. It's one of the best. The only free-to-play game truly on the market. You're right. Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. I'm so impressed. And I didn't even know they worked on The Darkness, too. The same guys. That's crazy. One of my favorite games. Everything is perfect. That's why we eat our goy slop, stay in our goy rooms, and get goy cucked. Dude, for real. For real, though. Oh, my God.
However, the positive community that they had already started to culture,
you could truly play the end game without spending money. Yeah, I was just saying that. This is one of the only free-to-play games where you can actually play the game for free.
Fact that they had been listening to their community ended up catching the attention of the late great commentator Total Biscuit, who came to cover the game and catapult its popularity into the mainstream.
I didn't know that Total Biscuit did that, but the big thing for them is that they listen to their players, for sure.
I think that this is one of the most valuable lessons for Digital Extremes or any company to learn, and it's that good things happen to good developers, especially
sometimes
those who treat their players as well as Digital Extremes and listens to their feedback. Game developers large and small need to recognize that they are providing a product and service to us, not the other way around. The expectation is on them.
Dude, speaking of goy cucked, dude, I see all these people, they're like, for like the new Halo came out, and people are like, you should be grateful that you got a new Halo. Bitch, we're paying money for it. I ain't grateful for something that I'm paying money for and that it's bad. No. Hell no. You should be grateful that I decide to even give you a chance to spend my money on you. Companies should be grateful to us, not the other way around. I don't know where this whole system came up, where it's like we're all grateful for the company and the company can just fuck us over. If you steal $1,500 worth of stuff from a Walmart, you're going to go to jail for 3 years. But if they steal $1 million from you, you're going to have to take them to court, and none of them are ever going to go to jail. They might have to pay you some of the money back, but that's as far as that goes. It's crazy to me. It's exactly as it should be. If you have the money, you can speed up the process, not have exclusive super mythical swords and arms that are only available for Spencers. Yeah. I mean, there are a couple things, the founders items and stuff, right, that are pay only. But I do think I do agree with you, actually. That's how it should be in free-to-play games. Like, I'm fine, especially a PvE. PvP, I wouldn't agree with you. The player versus player, I would not agree on the speeding up. But since it's a PvE game, the speed up stuff, all that, I think it's actually great. I think those are the things you can use, right? But if it was like old school RuneScape, I would not want speed pass. I don't think. I like OSRS and Classic WoW because when you see someone in strong gear, high level people, that's true. That's actually my problem with almost every MMO now. Is that anytime you see somebody, you just like, oh, okay, so they look badass. You're like, so they have a wallet. Like that's every single time now. And it used to be like you would run across somebody and they had a badass suit of armor and they're like, yeah, I took down the biggest dragon in the game to get this armor and I killed him in under 5 minutes. That's how I have it. You know, it was never like, oh, well, I spent $100. That's whenever we really went under, I think, as gamers. The founder stuff, Exceller Prime are legally not allowed to be resold. I kind of like that. I like that. The whole idea of like a slightly exclusive thing. You got in early. I don't mind that at all. I think it's kind of cool. But it's also one of the things that kind of drags me away from MMOs. I mean, not so much anymore. I won't play MMOs anymore for that reason I just said. Where it's like I come across somebody, they look badass. Okay, they paid for it. I don't even like the game anymore. But I don't know. Back whenever I did play MMOs a little bit, I did enjoy the whole... Like, I was here during this event, so I have the special firework hat, and you'll never be able to get it. Look at how cool I am. You know, I loved that. Yeah, WoW get away with stuff for too many years. WoW is one of those mining canaries that ruined gaming. Between WoW, Bethesda, or let me be specific, between World of Warcraft, Oblivion, and the Horse Armor DLC, and The Last of Us, those are 3 games that damaged gaming more than anything else. Realistically. World of Warcraft for their incredibly scummy business practices of charging you for... They charged you for the game, and then they charged you for the expansion packs, and then they charged you a subscription fee, and then they charged you microtransactions, and then this and that and this and that. And before the end of the day, before you even know it, you're spending like $30,000 a year on World of Warcraft. It's crazy. And then, you know, the horse armor, that was the origin of microtransactions for Oblivion. That was horrible for gaming. And The Last of Us made a bunch of video game developers think that they were goddamn Steven Spielberg. You remember seeing party hats whenever someone was walking around with Varric in a purple party hat? They had hundreds of people following around. Yes, just because they were wearing that hat. Yeah, true. I mean, and now in classic our OSRS, party hats are a dime a dozen now, which kind of sucks.
To create a fun, fair, entertaining, and valuable experience in exchange for our money.
Old school or whatever it's called.
When I see game developers posting on Reddit...
I called it old school. I called it classic OSRS. Old school RuneScape is what that stands for. I've been talking nonstop for a minute now, you know, so these mistakes are bound to happen.
Talking about how they hate gamers because of YouTube live stream comments, or how a lead Starfield developer makes a Twitter thread saying, funny how disconnected some players are from the realities of game development, and yet they speak with complete authority. I mean, I can guess what it takes to make a Hostess Twinkie, but I don't work in the factory, so what the hell do I know, really?
Yeah, but if the Twinkie had shit inside, and you took a bite of it, and all of a sudden you have shit smeared all over your tongue, you would be able to say, this is a shitty Twinkie. Look at his profile picture. Oh, yeah. You think you think he knows about modern games? I think he is modern games.
Not a lot. And neither of these opinions that these people have are in the minority of opinions. With what authority do players speak? With their money. They are your paying customers. And
I don't mean that in a good way, by the way. Obviously.
While players may not know exactly how to voice their concerns, and oftentimes will do it in the wrong way, you still should be listening to them because they are telling you that something is wrong with your game. And at the end of the day, all they want is a better product, which only serves to make...
Wait, you mean to tell me that they're not just attacking the developers mindlessly, and that them giving you feedback actually means that they care? What? No, that's crazy, dude. That's crazy. No one ever would think of that. This is what's crazy. It's wild to me that like, oh, you guys are ruining Star Wars because you're criticizing it. It's like, guys, we love Star Wars, and you're ruining it. We are warning you because we don't want to see it die. And now it's too late, by the way. Star Wars is fucked, dude. The brand is destroyed. Disney has destroyed the lore repeatedly, but,
Make you more money
whatever.
in the end. We've seen developers stray from the side of players. However, how many developers have you seen remove a microtransaction from their game because players were using it too much? When Warframe introduced colors for their pet skins, they didn't realize that they had inadvertently created a gambling mechanic where players were trying to search for the rarest skin colors and the combinations that they wanted. DE saw that a player had rolled his pet's color 200 times and their stomach sank.
Damn.
Within a day and a half, they had removed the mechanic from the game and reworked it without the need for player feedback.
So that's where we got the color coding thing? That's sick, dude. This is one of the best developers for a free-to-play game I've ever seen.
The spirit of that can be found throughout the entire game. As of a recent update, now everything in the game, just about everything in the game, is earnable in-game with very few outliers.
Yeah.
Warframe uses
sick.
Platinum as its in-game premium currency, and it's fully tradable. Players can go out, farm valuable resources, mods, weapons, and Warframe blueprints, and then trade with other players without ever even spending a dime. You would think that this is trapped behind some type of end-game progression or something, right? No, you can start doing this within the first 15 to 20 hours of playing the game.
Yeah.
I was already trading items with other players and stockpiling currency from the minute that I had started. While players still have the option to buy anything that they want from the game's in-game shop, all of those things, or at least the vast majority of them outside of cosmetics and color palettes, can be earned in-game. So, Mr. YouTuber, that means that Warframe must have the most difficult and high-end equipment behind paywalls or something, right? It has to be insanely difficult to get.
Time walls, which can be paywalls, but, it's the only game that sells items for currency that you can buy with money. That I like. That's huge, dude. So that you've played so far. I can't really think of too many other games that do that. A few MMOs do, but then it's usually like so overpriced that it would cost your entire bag. Like you would have to game for 100 hours to get enough gold for like a chest piece or something.
No. The pinnacle Warframes and weapons are called primes. You can earn these by cracking relics, and you get relics constantly while you're playing the game. When you go to do these missions to crack the relics, you're playing with 4 players, and all 4 of you...
You can't unlock everything in those games, mostly. You have to buy them from someone else who paid real money for them.
You can choose to use
Which is basically just their way to do RMT, real money transactions.
Exact same relic, which would then increase your chances of being able to get what you wanted, because everybody can choose from everyone else's rewards.
I got my... Or I didn't get a prime hero, but I got my favorite hero within 3 days of playing the game. I got to unlock my own hero and stuff, so I do feel that.
Meaning that even if you're in a party that isn't coordinated and you're all running different relics, if you don't get what you want out of yours, you can just get a copy of somebody else's thing if it's more valuable. You can choose to get whatever you want. Every weapon, every frame, companion.
So this part of the game is the closest we've ever gotten to an actual good Gundam game, in my opinion. Like, this is the closest we've gotten, for sure.
And otherwise is at your fingertips. You can earn your way through Warframe without ever even spending a dime, and many players have. There is no time wasting in Warframe. And what's even more crazier is that, adding to this absurdity, they show players how not to spend money within their premium shop.
True.
If you go to their premium...
I never even thought about that. Most premium shops would be terrified to show you that.
Shop and look at any of the items available in it. Next to every item, it tells you how to go earn that item in-game rather than spending money. They teach players how not to spend money in their shop.
That's crazy.
But that doesn't mean that players don't support the game. In fact, they do quite a lot, because by making things so accessible, giving massive discounts on their currency and things like that, being able to just get all the things that you want in the game by playing it, players just want to spend money on the game.
True, dude. It's like the old meme with Sean Murray at this point, where it's like, Sean, please just take our money. You've made No Man's Sky good enough. We'll pay for an expansion now. Please just let us give you some money, Sean.
Because they want to support it, because they love the game.
And Sean Murray is such a giga chad that he's like, how about no?
So much, not because they feel like they need to. Imagine that. Imagine a world in which the players are not spending money on a game because they need to overcome some fabricated barrier that's put in place, and if they spend money, they're going to be able to get through it faster or get through it at all. No, instead they're spending money because they actually want to support the game. They just are enjoying themselves and want to spend the money. Now, mind you, some of this is definitely driven by convenience, but the vast majority of players just love the game and want to support it.
That's true. I mean, you make a great game. People want to support it. I don't know if you guys heard, speaking of No Man's Sky, Light No Fire, I'm very hyped for. That's No Man's Sky their next game, Hello Games. And it's going to be a fantasy take on it instead of sci-fi. They're going to fantasy, and they're using all the tech they built up with No Man's Sky, putting it into this game, and it's going to be one big planet. Instead of all these different planets in the galaxy, it's just going to be one, like, Earth-sized planet in a fantasy game. I'm hyped for that.
And that's not to say that there aren't areas worth criticizing. I'm still not a fan of the fact of them having...
He said, hey, look, yeah, true, they're doing that with Soulframe. I guess it just turns out that if you're a great company, you start with sci-fi and then you make a fantasy version.
12 to 72 hour crafting timers on weapons and warframes. It's just too much. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just too much. And also there's a big limitation on the amount of weapon and warframe slots, inventory slots that are available.
I will say to his point here that the reason I have quit Warframe multiple times is because of those build timers. Because it's like, all right, well, your item will be done in 72 hours. And I'm like, all right, I'll come back in 72 hours. But 72 hours later, I have lost interest in the game because I couldn't play it for 3 days the way I wanted to. So whenever that timer runs up, I'm not even playing anymore. I mean, that's literally what happened to me. I was playing Warframe a few months ago, and then I ran into this wall where it's like, all right, well, I'm building all this stuff. The newest thing is going to be done in like 3 days, so I guess I'll come back then, and then I just never did.
Early on for players, that's something that in general just needs to get fixed. But
maybe you could build the next
thing
one.
is that the longer you play the game, the less those things become an issue because you have so many other things that you're working on, leveling up, playing as, farming for, while all these other things are building in the background that you really don't even notice it all that much.
You said the devs are working on the timers. They've gone through and lowered the timers to 12 to 24 on stuff. They're changing it over time. Yeah, fair enough. I'm just, I mean, and I get why they're doing it, obviously. I'm not hating on them for it, but it is a point of the game that makes me want to not play it, you know? And not even that it makes me want to not play it, it just makes me basically forget about it, you know? Equinox, though, I don't even know what you're talking about. What up? What's going on?
And while there's room for improvement, this is largely the most ethical live service game I've ever seen monetized. And I don't think any other game wants to try to compete on those terms. They definitely don't want to compete on their content.
Equinox is the worst crafting in the game. Oh, is that something that takes like forever and ever, I'm guessing then? Okay. Word. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it feels very mobile gamey and anytime when with that specific like crafting timers thing. And anytime something feels that mobile gamey, I'm not really into it. Realistically, if I was to play like it, I don't mind a timer in a game like that because you need to have stuff that people could pay to skip. You need to be able to trick them into spending their money. But whenever it's longer than like 2 hours, when it's longer than I'm possible to sit down for a session, like if I know I'm playing the game right, and I know this entire session I'm not going to unlock the thing I want or anything really because it will take too long and I will not be online for it. It really does damage me wanting to play the game. It does. That's the one downside I have about Warframe. And I know I'm talking to a chat filled with Warframe stands right now, and I get that. I'm about to get, hung and quartered for this, but but that is how I feel. 2 hours would be like, I guess 4 hours for like something crazy would be the maximum thing I would be willing to work for or wait for in a game. Past that, it's like, it feels bad now, for me. He said because to craft Equinox, you have to craft 2 frames. Oh my god, it took me 2 days to build out my best pet in the game. Jesus. I finished it, but just stopped me playing for a week, and I've not got back to playing it. I will do, though. Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing. It's like, it's scaring people away. Not scaring people away, but it's literally just like, I can't play right now because I'm waiting for my thing to build, and by the time it's done, you've kind of moved on to another game that you're into. Because most gamers aren't just sitting around, waiting for their thing to be done in their game. They should remove the timers completely, in my opinion. Just charge us €30 for the game instead. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be against that. Although they make a lot more money out of the timers. They probably make so much fucking money out of the timers. They're never gonna do that. I'd pay €30 for. Or is that quid? Do I say that quid or euro? I don't know. I'm not from there. I'm gonna say quid. I'd pay 30 quid for a perm skip on timers. Quid. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they would ever do that, but it would be nice. Part of the thing with the crafting is it's one of the few relics from early days. Yeah, I get that. I don't know. It is one of those things though that it's like it's too long. So quids are pounds, and pounds are euros. What are we even talking about anymore? Do they just have all the names? Do you guys just name your stuff constantly? They're like, oh yes, let's come up with another name for these dollars. I love Britain, Net. You said fake currency. You said we don't have euros here. Oh, because you left the... Wait, did you ever have euros? Or was it never euros? Because now I'm confused. The European Union, is that where the euros come from? But Britain didn't accept them? Who has euros? Is that even a thing? Oh, okay, yes, okay, all right. We don't even have euros here. The quid is worth more than the dollar. Yeah, I mean... Yeah, that is true. So, shit. I guess you did own us there. We refused to give up the strongest currency. Hey, it was a battle for a minute. It was a good fight for a minute until we really, really slid out of the race. Because all of our elites are jackasses. Fun fact, there's a thing called pre-decimal currency. The before times. Even Bulgaria has euro? Oh.
Wants to try to compete on those terms.
I don't know where that is.
They definitely don't want to compete on their content. Warframe's first turning point came when the game released on Steam, which marked a critical success and provided the studio with the necessary resources to be able to continue to support and develop the game.
It's fine, you don't
Unlike
need
competitive
to know.
shooters
Fair
that can
enough.
maintain an audience with minimal updates, Warframe faced the challenge of sustaining interest in a PvE-centric game, which is far more difficult. To overcome this, Digital Extremes heavily leaned on the experienced development team who had weathered the storm through the toughest times and
Fartherings, shillings, pennies, pounds. What are you saying like your grandparents' names? What is happening here? No. No one knew how it worked, we guessed. Oh my god. No, I'm kidding, obviously. That's just funny. So in your translation, it's UK lira? Oh. No, I don't know what a lira is either. I might be the least worldly person in the world.
possessed the deep institutional knowledge that was necessary to make the game successful. If it wasn't for the fact that they held on to their employees
like
when the
feet,
game and the
inches,
studio
that
was
weird
facing...
measuring thing. Oh, you mean freedom units. Yeah, the only way you should be measuring stuff. Yeah, hell yeah. Sorry, I'm jonesing on Britain a lot right now. No, I'm kidding, but yeah, no, we should be using freedom units for everything. We did that with money once, where
its closure, they likely would have never been able to make the game the success that
miles, by the way. It's weird. It's weird the amalgamation you guys do, from what I understand, because you guys do like miles, but then you have meters, and then it's like kilometers and stuff. I don't even know. It feels like with Britain, and this is just an outsider's perspective, right? But it feels like with Britain, you guys just kind of decide on a whim what you're gonna use. You know, you're like, yeah, for this one we're gonna use miles, but for this thing we're gonna use meters, and for that thing we're gonna use flibbly-doos, and it's like, well, okay. I mean, if you guys can figure it out, that's all it takes. Use bowl system to just convert like crazy word. So you can have only miles. Oh my god. It's a weird system.
Today.
I don't get it.
In the
We
years
just vibe
following
it
the
out.
game's release on Steam, Warframe saw a rapid
Like that Marklar episode of South Park where they're like, I Marklar, you Marklar, he, she Marklar.
expansion in content. The studio introduced clans, player hubs, a plethora
Except,
of
like,
weapons,
completely
and
opposite.
warframes, and diverse gameplay elements like open world areas, vehicles, and space combat. But the most significant shift in the game's identity came with the release of The Second Dream, a cinematic quest that redefined Warframe as a game. This quest introduced fully voice-acted, high-quality cinematic experiences with intricate writing and storytelling that
said, let's make a petition to make UK use feet, yards, and nods. Well, that last one, I don't know.
elevated the game from a compelling free-to-play title to a truly exceptional
We use feet and
experience.
yards. Of
No
course you
longer
do.
was Warframe just a free-to-play game. It was just
Very
a
strange.
great
I love it,
game
though.
that happened to be free-to-play. Digital
That
Extremes
is true. Warframe is a great game that just happens to be free to play. That is true.
continued to push boundaries with subsequent updates, including the new war, Whispers in the Walls, and the upcoming major update, Warframe 1990.
You said, to be fair, it all depends on what you're measuring. Yes, which is why every time I measure my penis, I do it in centimeters. Millimeters, even.
These expansions demonstrate a level of writing, character development, and cinematic quality
If you're a person, it's feet. If you're a door, it's metric. Weird.
that's typically associated with AAA
Makes sense, though.
blockbuster titles and reflect nothing of what we've seen in typical
Micrometers.
free-to-play games. The studio's ambition to deliver high-end content remained evident with every release.
It's like, how big is your dick? Oh, like 1,000. 1,000? 1,000 what? Micrometers, dude.
Further increasing the game's reputation among players, both new and old. That's what's made
You
the
said why feet and not arms? Because everyone in the past was really horny.
Warframe that we have today. One of the systems I was the most shocked by was at one point I unlocked what I can best describe as Sea of Thieves in space. You get a railjack,
haven't
a
got
fully
this yet.
customizable ship that you can upgrade. It has multiple weapons
I
that
do
are
wanna
controlled
get
by
here.
other players in co-op. You hire NPCs to manage the ship. You fight other ships. You can board other ships, steal other ships, and raid enemy bases. While the feature didn't land well on release and it had its issues, what is available today is an absolute blast to play, and it feels like it's
I don't really like the look of that, though, honestly. I don't know. As far as a space game goes, I don't think this would be my go-to, really. With the combat in the game is awesome, but this part of it, I don't know. I like the Gundam thing. I'm glad I didn't work really hard to get here now, actually. It doesn't look that cool. The long-armed Larry ruined it for everyone. Damn long-armed Larry did, true. You said overdone, most F. People have longer feet, too. A foot on a 150-centimeter girl versus... Yeah, but I think it was... I mean, this is just a wives' tale that I heard, so I don't even know if it's true. But I think it was based off of a specific king's foot. Like a specific king's foot size, realistically, was what it was like originally based off of or whatever. That was the idea. That could totally just be something I'm making up, so don't take my word for it. Do your own research. I may be a book, but I am a book of grudges, I said, yeah, but standard Steve's feet have perfect for measuring. Oh my god. Kings were fat? It has something to do with cloth, or was that yards? I don't even know. And see, now we're getting into the weeds. Someone walked next to a rope object and saw how many times they could walk it with one foot after the other. That would make sense. Or it's fetish content. It could be both. It could definitely be both. It's all made up anyways. True. I'm a big fan of etymology, though.
It's completely native to the game, and like it could have been there from the start.
We just
In the
agreed to
landscape
make
of
up
live
nonsense,
service and
yeah.
free-to-play games,
True.
many developers opt for the safe approach, focusing on incremental updates and minor changes rather than undertaking
Nah, you're crazy, dude. I use freedom units, dude. Metric, bleh. I'll have 20 years to fix yourselves. Nah, dude, you got 10 years to fix yourselves.
any significant overhaul. This safe strategy often
Because
results
America, we take what you do and we just do it faster and crazier.
in steady, gradual improvements, but most
And usually, sometimes not as good. Usually better. No, I mean,
major additions and transformative
America,
changes
rock,
end up
flag,
being
and eagle,
locked
brother.
behind paid
Yeah.
expansions,
Ow.
premium content, and microtransactions. Typically, free-to-play games and live service games will introduce minor tweaks, seasonal updates, and limited
that's
time
the
offers
problem, I think.
to try to keep players
Yeah.
engaged. Well, Warframe
Yeah.
does the exact same thing. They aren't strangers to making big splashes with major updates, and all the while, they're not charging the players a dime. Other games with standard offerings can sometimes refresh the experience and
Wait,
provide...
so Warframe, yeah, I didn't even think about this. Warframe and No Man's Sky are literally just doing the same exact things as each other and have been for a while. Well, except for No Man's Sky charged money for their game up front, whereas Warframe is the free-to-play game that you pay for over time. But it does seem that there are so many parallels between Hello Games and Digital Extremes. Or is that's what they're called, right? Yeah. Makes zero sense, though. A piece of 2x4 is 1.5 inches by 3.5 inches. Well, yeah, but that's just because we want to scam people. That's the American way, apparently. I thought y'all OCD was a big problem. No, dude, our scammers are a big problem. And it's not even our scammers. It's like, because the average American doesn't believe in a scam. They don't want to scam people at all. It's the rich cocksuckers who are running the corporations, though, that are systematically selling off America and destroying it piece by piece, to be realistic, with stuff like that.
New incentives to be able to log in, but they rarely bring the wide sweeping changes that might significantly alter the gameplay or narrative, making the game overall feel more stale. I'll give kudos to games like Fortnite, who often radically change their map.
We love to scam people. Eagle sound.
Put in new modes and give more ways for players to be able to express themselves in games, like even creating their own games within Fortnite. However, the vast majority of games don't do this, and in combination with that lack of risk, they often let go of the developers that got them to where they are in the first place, ignoring the players that got them to where they are in the first place. And as a result, they hollow out their experience, leaving them with nowhere to go.
True.
There's too much focus on monetization, and it's leading to a disparity between the expectations of the player and the financial outlook of the developer. Today, we have developers that are understaffed, underpaid, under a lot of pressure, under-delivering to their audience, while for some odd reason, the company is still expecting more money.
True. And this is a thing I need to put into perspective, too. A lot of people want to say, don't blame the developers, don't blame the developers. I do. I blame the developers. You think that there's a room full of 100 dudes sitting around, and not one of them notices, hey, what we're making right now is fucking garbage. No. I'm sorry, but I do blame the developers as well. Sure, I blame the managers and the CEOs more, but I for sure blame developers.
You have CEOs that are out there projecting growing profit without investing in growing content. And their expectation is because you're playing, then you must be paying, and I'm sick of it.
Yeah, true. That's
Look, just recently I saw with Apex Legends, the big drama that cropped up around it, where basically, long story short, developer goes in and makes it where you can no longer earn the next battle pass by completing the last battle pass.
Well, this is the new phrase, right, is toxic positivity, where if you say the game is shit, you're out, you know? Like, it's like if you tell somebody that their idea is bad, now you're a bad guy. And so that's part of the enshittification of the games industry right now, is that you're actually usually not even allowed to tell people that what they're doing is stupid. If you have negative vibes, it ruin everyone's good mood, dude. And it's crazy to me that anybody even cares about people's moods inside of the video games industry, you know, like, or any industry, not even the video games industry, but any industry. I personally don't care how my coworkers feel ever. You know, I will not hold back what I say to them based off of how they feel. And anybody who's ever worked with me can attest to that. You know how many people I've gotten fired in my lifetime? Because fuck them, that's why. A lot. That's why Nicki Minaj ended up on Modern Warfare 2. Oh, God. Oh, hey. The sirens driving by. Let me just mute myself. Continue the video for a second.
Where previously you were able to. And they made these changes, gaslighting the players, saying that it's because we're trying to deliver you guys a more valuable experience. We're doing...
That's because Modern Warfare 3 equals men and Nikki equals big ass. True. Men plus big ass on screen equal money. This is true. They come after you. It's over. I knew it, dude. I knew I was being too based and true. I knew it. I knew it was going to happen.
Doing it because we're trying to grow the game, and we're giving you guys more value. That's really what it is. When anybody with any base level of intelligence can see how insulting it is to say something like that when it's so transparently not that. And they're not the only developer doing things like that. You see it across the board. So many developers that are making minor changes to their game, but all of their focus is on their monetization. How else they can shift and move things around to make it where they can make more money and you get less out of playing the game. And in that, the only thing that you're serving to do is make an audience that isn't loyal to you, that is just waiting, frothing at the mouth at the chance to be able to jump onto the next game and get as far away from you as they possibly.
Yeah, because you're creating a bad environment for them, so they're just hoping that one day in their genre, a Warframe will come along, or No Man's Sky will come along. A perfectly bad example of how you could do it wrong with No Man's Sky is Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves is basically, essentially in a way, No Man's Sky, but as pirates with some PvP action. But there's no progression at all because everybody in the office was sucking each other's dicks and talking about how worried they were if someone was going to be better than them at the game, that they would have more stuff, and they all stopped doing it. Dude, I was in the Pioneer program for Sea of Thieves. I was playing that game in the pre-alpha, and everyone that I played with was telling these developers, and we were pretty active telling them what we thought. We were telling them we need a progression system. We can't just be in here buying cosmetics with our gold. We need an actual progression system where I can get a better sword or a bigger ship or something of like this. Anything that's real. And they refuse to do it. And then you look at Sea of Thieves, and Sea of Thieves is a middling game with a struggling player base that most people don't even care about because it's kind of boring, realistically. Progress is the main reason I play a game. Yes, it's what puts me off things like Sea of Thieves. True. I need none of the numbers go up. You said yes, because bigger number, better person. Hell yes, I feel that. I need that too. The moment I stop seeing numbers go up, I give up. You love a story too. Fair enough. With a multiplayer game, I don't even need a story, but I do need bigger number, better person. And not just gold, but I need things to spend that gold on that makes sense versus instead of just like, all right, now my ship's purple. All right, now my ship's gold. Okay, I got a new shirt. It's like none of that. Like that's secondary to me. I should be leveling up my character, picking skill trees, picking paths, getting a bigger boat, stealing a ship from my enemy, stealing their pirate ship, and then taking it over for myself. We gave them all of these ideas, and they refused to take any of them. The game, by the way, when I was playing it in the Pioneer build, which was pre-alpha, it looked almost the exact same. It played almost the exact same, and it had all the same stuff in it as it did when it came out. So from the time they were in pre-alpha till the time the game released, they basically did no work whatsoever. And I mean that seriously. They basically did nothing at all. And it was horrible to watch in real time. Everybody who was in the beta, in the alpha especially, was getting pissed off. Because it was like, we were sitting there, we were like, wait, are we just testing if your game works? Because that's what they sold it to us as like, help develop the game, basically. Give us ideas. But really what it was we need someone to see if the game plays. And that was it. They never listened to it. They never were going to listen to a thing we said. It's one of them two things, ideally both in the game for me. Yeah, fair. Because I don't know. There's got to be progression, though. Like World of Sea Battles, I've only got 2 more ships to collect, so I've burnt out on it. I love it still, but yeah, exactly. You got to have things to do. You got to have progression to make.
Possibly can. Sure, they're playing your game right now. Sure, it's popular right now, but that's because they don't really have another option, and there's nothing else right now that's that hot.
Yeah.
So once there is something that hot that comes out, you're done. That's it.
Is that a goal, I guess, the best way of saying it? You know what? That's what most humans thrive off of, actually, I feel like, is a goal of progression, We're all looking for motion. We're trying to get that motion. And you can't get motion if all you can do is buy new drip,
Players are a valuable resource, and you need to value them. They provide you with everything that you need to be successful.
That's true, what he's saying, and also at the same time, there's only so much time that people have, and there's only so many people. So if you want someone to put their time into you, like someone might have $100 million, but they still only have 24 hours in a day. There's only so much time. You can only get so much out of one person where it comes to time. And if you're not entertaining enough to take that time and get it for yourself, then it doesn't matter.
Both creatively and financially. And if you use them the appropriate way, you can be huge, you can be massive. And while that's not the truth for every single game, because every single game is different, they have a different audience, they have a different use case. Not everybody plays the same kind of games.
Yeah.
When you value them, they keep you afloat. They help you grow. And in the case of Digital Extremes and Warframe, I don't think that there's another developer that's out there that appreciates their audience the same way or does the same things that Digital Extremes.
No offense to Warframe stands, but clearly Hello Games are way better, just like from a moral standpoint and a business standpoint and all of it than Warframe. Warframe makes more money. Warframe for sure makes more money than No Man's Sky, but objectively, No Man's Sky, they're the heroes. Hello Games, they're the heroes. They've actively updated their game with like 20 different expansions and never charged $1 for it. There's a one-time flat fee for that game. Warframe's a free-to-play game, technically, but it is a very expensive free-to-play game. But you can play it for free, and you don't actually have to spend money, which makes it great. But to say they're the most player-friendly is absurd at best. Unless we're talking about specifically free-to-play games, and only free-to-play games, but not like No Man's Sky in a way. I mean, that game you can get for $20 on basically any digital storefront. It goes on sale all the time. In fact, when they release expansions, they put it on sale instead of boosting the price up, which is crazy. So, objectively, I'd say the developer who's best to their community is Hello Games. Said Harvey, bring the pitchforks as we're going to Texas. Well, you're going to the wrong state, so that's fine with me.
Does with their audience, except for baby Larian Studios. Why did you guys have to go and create a community YouTube channel? And even more so, why am I not in it? I get it, like Luality and Co-Carnage are really cool, but like I made a lot of videos on Baldur's Gate.
Cry about it some more.
Come on, man. Initially, I had wondered how Warframe.
You said Guild Wars, you'd argue too, and I know they have expansions, but I think free to play is solid. You're biased, though. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I guess it depends on who you're looking at, but I think objectively, like I'm just looking at it from an objective point of view because No Man's Sky is not my favorite game by any means, but it is a good game, and I do think as far as value you get from the developer as a player. The amount that they listen to the players, all of these things added in. I think, objectively, No Man's Sky does it best. Said I've reinstalled it several times, same. I can see an argument for Warframe and No Man's Sky 2 for sure, yeah. Not even WoW do that. Yeah.
Frame was able to hold on to such a consistent player base for so long. Regardless of good or bad updates,
WoW sucks.
New games or financial declines, their core audience has stayed rock solid for over a decade now, and in and of itself, that is a feat that very few games have accomplished. It wasn't until I started streaming my experience over on Twitch, playing the game for the very first time, that I was exposed to the game's community, and in that, I noticed how positive they are.
What? Your cat always just playing fetch with me. My cat's playing fetch? Don't teach my cats to play fetch, you weirdo. My brother's teaching my cat. My brother's over right now. He's teaching my cats to play fetch, dude. What the hell? Stop teaching them weird shit, man.
I also taught them the Phoenician alphabet.
I'm going to get back to it now.
All right.
A really similar experience I had with Final Fantasy XIV, but altogether completely different.
What?
I'm going to be heading out soon.
All right.
I wanted to tell you something else, but now I can't.
Yeah, I know. I was about to say something really horrible, and then I realized I was on camera. I was like, oh, I can't say that to you now. I was about to say the
Love you.
Yeah, you know. You know already. All right. Oh, my God. You don't need a mount, though. Go fast. Sorry, my brother popped in for a second. Warframe was a crazy story. It was sometimes less than No Man's Sky, but somewhat less so than No Man's Sky, but it was not popular or good when it first launched. Yeah, I mean, people with Warframe, apparently, when it first came out, there were problems, but they were willing to fix it a ton. as well, though, which I'm learning, like the monetization issues that they were talking about in the beginning of the game, and they reworked that shit super fast. With No Man's Sky, they did have to disappear for a whole year, but they were also like a team of 20 dudes. So I don't know. It's like I just feel like for me personally, I guess maybe it's not objective, maybe it is subjective. I don't know if I'm using those correctly, but for me, it's No Man's Sky. It's the player the devs that care about their players the most for me. At least the ones who are pretending to. I played it for like an hour when it released. I forgot it existed till a few months ago. Oh, dude, it's one of my favorite games right now. I mean, it's not one of my favorite games. That's a lie. It's one of the games where I can go back to all the time, I guess I should say. You're going to sleep? All right, have a good night, Agram. I wish, to be honest, I'm glad. Yeah, dude, I have me and my brother built up like this whole giant, like, I built up my big-ass compound on this paradise planet, and he built his right next to mine, and we, like, you can build your own spaceships and shit now, and all this stuff. It's pretty cool. I don't know. I've been having fun.
Many players have been playing the game since alpha. They've unlocked everything in the game, effectively beaten the game, logging thousands of hours. However, they are still logging in regularly, even daily. They are out there guiding new players and doing things that they've done thousands of times because they love the game that...
But I should sleep too, to be honest. Well, yeah, I think this is going to have to be the last video for me today, by the way, guys, because I did show up a little late. You know, this is... we're about a wind down time anyway, where I would normally be winding down. But, yeah, we're going to finish this one out. We got about 10 minutes on
I was
this one.
curious...
Obviously, I'll be back tomorrow. I stream every day, about 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Not really, but sometimes I start then. Sometimes I start at 7 in the morning. Sometimes it's 11. We're figuring it out right now.
Where that comes from. Well, sure, the game has regular
And when I say
updates.
we, I mean me, because it's just me here.
It's new content, new weapons, and new Warframes. I couldn't see how Warframe could become somebody's daily driver until I saw how Digital Extremes engages with their community. Oftentimes, developers lay silent between content releases and major updates. They put their head in the sand, they let a couple people go out and respond or repost on Twitter, and only come out of hibernation to make promotional content to drive up interest around the next big update.
True, it makes me hate the whole developer culture of where it's like Hideo Kojima, for example, you know, and I don't hate Hideo Kojima at all, but the absolute ball washing that this guy gets, you know, where everybody thinks he's like this super mega genius and like, oh man, he's so great, he's the best developer ever. He's fine. He's fine, dude. But he's not amazing. I mean, he's not the best ever, and he doesn't ever connect with the community at all. The only person he connects with is Jeff Keighley sexually. That's a joke for legal reasons.
Or major change. In that time of silence, I think it makes it feel like updates are further apart than they actually are. Players aren't engaged, and when they aren't engaged, they lose interest. And DE makes it really hard for you not to feel engaged as they support their community like they're content creators rather than game developers. Every single week, they go live on YouTube and Twitch to do something they call a dev short, where Steve Sinclair, the CEO of Digital Extremes, together with Rebecca Ford, the once community manager and now creative director of War.
Oh man, am I the only guy who hates this? Whenever you see a CEO of a big company and they and his wife, what is she doing here? But the CEO of a big company who wants to pretend like he's just some normal dude, you know, oh, I'm just wear a t-shirt and like I have an apron on and a regular old hat, dude, and it's like, no, dog, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. It just feels fake and wrong.
Warframe, just talk to the players for 15 minutes. They answer questions.
That's
they
sick.
Tell them about things.
I do like that, though. But I will never trust a CEO who dresses like they're a normal person. Because I've had a lot of bosses or CEOs specifically at companies that I've worked for who do that, who show up and they wear normal-ass clothes and want to just be an everyman. And every time, that's the dude, more than anybody, who comes in and says, look, I built this place from the ground up. This is all me. And it's like, meanwhile, he hasn't been to work in a year.
That they're working on, they joke around. They do this every week. What other game studios give that kind of transparency?
Kind of does, now that I'm thinking about it, with that in mind, too, it kind of does sound more like he wants to be a content creator and less a video game maker. Seems like this dude, the whole, like, we need to get famous because we built a video game thing is kind of getting old to me.
transparency to the players. What other game companies are that grounded to make sure that their CEO of all people is constantly in contact with the players? None. And that's not all they do.
I do appreciate what they're doing there, but and the fact that it is the CEO makes it better because he does have actual power in the company. That's pretty cool. I don't know. Because it's them doing it, I'll give them a pass because it is Warframe, and obviously they're good to their community, for sure. There's something about that look. Maybe I'm biased because of my past, but whenever I see someone walking around at CEO dressing like just the normal ass dude, I never trust them. It's like an immediate distrust. It's the main reason for it. They want to tell you the news, what's coming, and see the reactions to it. It's more of a people can give them direct feedback. Yeah, no, I like that. I do. I mean, I am talking shit on this for sure, but but I don't actually hate it. You know, I think it's good. I do think it's good. I don't know. There's my bias showing.
Every Wednesday and Thursday, they host Prime Time over on Twitch, and each of them have their own separate streams for English and Spanish, where the developers and community managers come out to...
Then, no offense, but shouldn't they have, like, an American flag and a Spanish flag behind them?
To play the game with the players. Have you ever heard of anything more absurd than that?
I just don't like this whole identity politics bullshit, dude. It's like, dude, if... You don't need to push your politics on people when you're making a game or doing stuff like this. Like, this just, it feels wrong. It feels wrong. Like, I don't care if they're gay or not, or if they support gays or not, or whatever. It doesn't matter to me at all. I just wish that we could get out of this mindset of, like, let's put a pride flag behind us because we support. It's like, I get it. I get you guys support it, and I really have no problem with the community or whatever. I really don't. I just don't want it shoved down my throat every time I look at anything. Like, it doesn't need to belong. It doesn't belong here. There's no reason for it to be here. If there was a reason for it, then it would be totally fine. And like, if they were activists or whatever, then whatever, you know. But to just put it everywhere, this is what makes the regular dude, the regular American man or whatever, because that's the only people I could really base my judgment off of. Those are most of my friends. This is what makes the regular American man go, oh God, and just go, I'm so sick of this. Like, because realistically, America was built on being prude. And so when you talk about your sexuality openly, no matter what sexuality you are, whether that's straight or gay or any other thing in between, most Americans just don't want to hear about it. And that's the honest truth. Like there was a policy in the military for a long time that was just called don't ask, don't tell. And that's honestly how most Americans feel like about this stuff, you know? It's like, just don't ask, don't tell. We don't care. Do your thing. We don't care. Do it in your bedroom. They can be proud of themselves. They can be proud of themselves with their nation aside. No, I get it, but I'm saying, like, you know, they said they did an English and a Spanish. I didn't realize that was the community and the creative director there. I assumed that one of them was speaking Spanish, one of them was speaking English. That's why I said that with their flags. Why don't they just have those? But so they've been doing that since the start. Digital Extremes every year has done fundraisers for LGBT organizations for the last decade plus. Okay, and maybe this is one of those streams that we're seeing here, in which case it totally makes sense. But if it's not one of those fundraising streams, then most just regular American dudes are going to be like, I just don't want to see it, you know? It's like, I just, you know, that's really how it feels. And I could be, again, showing my bias and projecting a little bit. This could just be one of those streams that you're talking about. But it's just something that has been slowly creeping its way in more and more, and it's like, we really just don't care, you know? They've also done breast cancer awareness and things. That's cool. I like that. I mean, that's cool. I'm always for, you know, that awareness shit and all that. I don't know. It feels weird to me. It does feel weird.
Developers actually playing their game and playing their game with players with an audience up to 200.
I honestly don't need to know what you like to do sexually, though, as a person, just in general, unless we're having a conversation about it, unless we're just like two adults talking about it, then I really just don't need to know. That's really it.
150,000 viewers giving away
This
skin.
was during June's where they do the LGBT fundraising events. Okay. All right. So I am projecting a little bit. That's fair. But I'm allowing it. You said you could suck cock, but don't get in people's face about how much you love doing it. Precisely. That's exactly how I feel. Although I will say, if this is during their fundraising event, it's totally fine. And if it's during the June time, like you said, then that makes sense. That whatever, that is what it is. And if you tell them to polish a knob in the closet, you're homophobic.
Twitch drops, different items, premium currencies. They tell stories. They play trivia games with chat, and they show off different community art submissions.
You can't be doing that
They
to
are
me,
more
dude. I'm like Ron Burgundy. Sometimes I'll just read stuff off the screen, dude.
involved with their community than I think any developer
Also, some of their best cosmetics come from this event. Now, that is an opinion.
ever has been, and the fruits of their labor shine so brightly. It shines in how positive their community is, how engaged they are.
If it is actually a real, like, straight up fact and not just an opinion based thing, that actually makes me go back to not liking it again. Because it's like, oh, if you want the best cosmetics in the game, you actually have to pay money into our sexual organization, which I'm not a big fan of at all.
How well the game
In
is
fact, I'd say I'm kind of against that.
developed and supported, how solid the monetization is. It's why they are allowed to take the risks with the games like they have, and even with future games in development like Warframe. The players know that they're appreciated. They know that the developer is trying to achieve something, and they can tell that they truly love what they are doing. They can clearly see that these developers love their game, and it shows.
Yeah. Digital
Extremes recognizes what many developers have slowly started to drift away from, that players are a part of...
Dog, you know what's crazy to me about this? This trailer actually makes the characters look like they're slower and not as badass as the actual gameplay. Usually it's the other way around, where your character looks way more badass in the cutscene and then he sucks and everything. You said LGBTQ. That's too many letters. I can't say that many. Community isn't sexual. It's about love. Well, the first three letters are sexual, inherently. The first three letters... This is why I think, actually, it muddies the water of the conversation that all of these letters are together, where realistically it should be LGB, should be one like, group that pushes for their whatever, and then the rest of them should be in their own separate category, because... The T, Q, whatever, past that, I don't know all the letters, whatever. I'm not going to learn them. But the rest of them are an identity. That's how you see yourself. But LGB is your sexuality. And so putting these two things together actually makes it, like, let's say someone, and I'm not condoning this, right? But let's say somebody hates trans people, but they don't mind lesbians, gays, or bisexuals. But now that you've got them all grouped up together, he either hates everybody or he hates nobody. And this hateful man is not going to give up his hate, It's not like, I don't know. You said it's pure. Well, yeah, it's a love thing. Kinks and sex are separate, for sure. You can also be asexual, but also be gay. I don't understand, but I don't need to. That's one of those things that I can just accept and move on. What's the difference between sexual and love? Well, I think that realistically, in my mind, right, at least with me, LG and B, those three are all inherently sexual. They are. That's who you prefer to have sex with. It's also who you love, sure. It's also who you're able to love. But the thing is, it's like, I love my mother. I love my brother. But I do not have sex with them. At all. But the preferential, and I don't find them attractive in any way. I'm not attracted to them. But I love them. The difference is with sexuality. This is why I don't know. No, you're entitled to your own opinion, of course, but I can't really agree with this one because it's like, for me, it's like the LG and the B are inherently the sexual aspect of it. Like, who do you find attractive? Who are you into as a person? Whether you actually want to have sex with them or not is kind of irrelevant from the fact, you know? That's what I'm saying. What's the difference between sexual and love? Yeah. Oh, yeah, I read that already. My bad. I can love, but I have no desire to have sex. Yeah, but then comes the question if you're truly gay. I'm sorry. Oh my god, that might have been a little far of a joke, but I did think it was hilarious. Sexuality is spectrums. Ooh, I don't know. I grow back. It depends. If you're a girl, that's true. As a guy, I don't necessarily agree with that because there's an old saying, and it goes, you can build 100 bridges and then suck one dick, and you're no longer a bridge builder, you're a dick sucker. You know? Romantic is the key word. Fair enough. I mean, you could call it what you want. Romantic, sexuality, whatever you want. But I see it as with the L. All right, so you're either S, L, G, or B when it comes to sexuality, in my eyes. When it comes to that, because you're either straight, you're either lesbian, you're either gay, or you're bisexual. Because if you're into both men and women, then you're bisexual. No matter how much more you're into women than you are men, or men than women, if you enjoy both of them in that way, then you are inherently bisexual at that point. We're getting into semantics here. It doesn't even matter here. You said attraction is a keyword, I'd say. I think it depends on the person. Realistically, I don't think we're going to find a consensus here, guys, to be honest. This is one of those things that's a hot topic. And it's also, it's something that's difficult for a lot of people to actually speak from an objective point of view about, you know? So I get it, though. You've never experienced it, so it's hard to understand. You don't know me. No, I'm kidding. No, you're right, though. Oh, man. Yeah, it's a carousel. Yeah.
Your game.
Yeah, it's fair. Everybody's entitled to their own beliefs.
Without them, your game wouldn't...
Well, not everybody, but most people.
...be what it is. And in fact, for Warframe, that's literally...
There are some people who should definitely not be allowed to have their own beliefs. I've met some real dumbos.
True. In the early days of Warframe, movement is exactly what you would have expected the game to be. Just a over-the-shoulder, third-person shooter. It had sliding and running, but overall the movement was slow. Players discovered an exploit where they called it Zoran coptering, where they could essentially fly across maps, sling themselves across maps, and complete missions in a fraction of the time. Instead of removing this, instead of standing against the players and changing something that the players were enjoying or doing, they recognized that the players were exploiting this because they were trying to avoid something that was actively ruining their experience. So Digital Extremes revamped the entire movement system for the game, reworking it from the ground up to be one of the most fluid movement systems in all of gaming.
True. That's sick. I didn't even know that, dude. These are great developers, I will say. Not fighting against your players and instead incorporating it. Dude, could you imagine if Masahiro Sakurai did that? Oh, man. Smash Bros. Would be so much better. But Masahiro Sakurai doesn't want it to be a competitive game, so he shuts it down and fucks it up all the time on purpose.
This video took a lot longer to record than I thought it would. It's already dark outside. You might actually end up hearing my cat chattering with another cat that shows up outside, this little orange cat. They just kind of talk through the window. It's adorable. Over the last few years, I've noticed a conversation that's popped up between game developers and game journalists, and they're talking about how cold and unfeeling and how unsympathetic gamers are towards the plight of the industry, how some of these companies are failing, how games are failing, how companies are going out of business, how people are losing their jobs, and they are absolutely right.
Yeah.
Because it
got really hot in my room right now, by the way, guys, so I'm not wearing any pants.
At the end of the day, we are consumers, we're buying games, and if you do not make a game that we want to play and it wasn't worth our money and we wasted it on your game,
don't worry, my shirt's still on.
And you go out of business as a result of that, that's on you. You got what you got coming to you. But it didn't used to be like that. And I think the reason why is because and this is something that's just kind of evolved over time, is that many of the companies that are out there right now, some of the biggest companies that are out there right now, came from humble beginnings, no different than Larian Studios or Digital Extremes or anyone else that's out there.
True.
But when they were smaller, they felt like they were one of us because they were one of us. They were players that were making games because they wanted to make cool games for them to play and for other people to play. But as time went on and they got bigger and they made more money and they started selling out and literally selling out to other companies, what ended up happening is that conversation changed.
Look, unless you pay me $1 billion with a B, I'm never going to sell out my values. That is my price, though. $1 billion with a B. And then, yeah, I'll probably sell out at that point. Sorry, guys, but that is the truth. If you ever see one day where it's like, the Reed made $1 billion in a crazy deal. It's like, fuck, Reed sold out? God damn it.
That interaction that we used to have, that relationship that we used to have with the developers, that parasocial-like relationship that we had, started to disappear because...
Maybe think of Andrew Gower with Jagex. It was a sad day when he sold RuneScape. Oh, God. That was the guy who owned it before. Oh, the Gower. Yeah.
They started...
Wasn't it brothers? Like two brothers who ran it together, and then they kind of... One of them left, and then the other one eventually sold it. I'm not really sure. The brothers
talking to us through a veil of money. It was always apology letters and tweets that are just trying to manipulate the truth more than anything else. It's all gaslighting. You're not trying to help us. You're not trying to do anything for us. You're just trying to make money. And to be honest with you, it's cowardice. It's so disgusting. Like, if you just want to make money, go make money, dog. Say you're doing it for it. I'd almost have more respect for a company that just laid their nuts out on the table and said, we're doing it because we want your money.
Damn, yeah. Honestly, same though. I think I'm at a point in my life where, and I've kind of always been here, this is me, but I just prefer honesty over every single thing. Like, even if you're going to hurt my feelings or do some dumb shit, I'd rather you be honest, and I'm more willing to forgive or forget if someone's just honest with me about their intentions or who they are. I get they were struggling, but I'd rather have been on the sinking ship with them, giving them more money. But oh well, yeah, honesty is key for sure. It is. It's a dying art.
Trying to paint it in these colorful...
And I'm not going to say I've never lied or don't lie, because I for sure do and have. But I try not to. That's why I think people should speak their mind and debate things. Yes, definitely, 100%. Once again, honesty isn't... yeah. Honesty doesn't equal money, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. What can?
Full words to try to make it feel like they're our friends, and really this is all just for you guys. That's not what it is. I think there's a lot to learn from a company like Digital Extremes, especially in the way that they stay connected with their audience. That level of connection brings in insane levels of endearment where the people that are playing the game just genuinely love the work that the people are doing.
Big titty player models based, engineered loot boxes, calculated dopamine hits. I kind of like that. And dark patterns. Dude, every game, I'm so sick of seeing TV and games that are just like brown and gray the whole way through. Oh my god. Hey, look, Genshin. Yeah, or just like super bright and colorful for no reason. Oh god.
Because they like the people too. They like both things at the end.
Damn, yeah, you did. Besides for the dark patterns, which I'd more say was like bright and colorful, you pretty much did spot on describe Genshin Impact.
Exact same time, and that's an awesome thing to have. My cat is freaking out right now. That's an awesome thing to have because players at the end of the day do want
Genshin
to be appreciated.
Has dark patterns. Okay, to be fair, I've never played it.
We want to be heard.
If you guys couldn't tell, I've never played Genshin Impact. I've just talked shit. Dark patterns aren't color related. Oh. Hey, I'm an audio artist, not a visual one.
And the more we're heard, and the more we're appreciated, and the more that the game is actually worth our time and money.
And speaking of, I cannot read music at all. I can play a lot of different instruments technically, but I can't read any music at all. The OG gacha game, Magic the Gathering. Yeah, hell yeah. It's an example, entering the store, and you buy the button, and the buy button are in the exact or entering the store and the buy button are in the exact same position. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't know that. Okay. So that didn't even have to do with art. I'm just a jackass. Dark patterns are basically a way to make you do things without telling you to do it. So it's, yeah, basically like a click-on ad or whatever, a pop-up ad from back in the day. That makes sense. Or when it's really easy to accidentally buy something with real money from the store. Oh, okay, I got you now. I get you. That got me the other day on a game. I hate that. Oh my god, I'm so uninstalled. I just or so annoyed I just uninstalled it. Yes, I feel that. Oh my god, anytime that happens to me, I'm pissed. A bit of soda got my controller stick and the A button got stuck on the Xbox controller and bought COD points. And you know what's the funny part about that? If you were to tell your friends that, they would be like, "No way, dude. We don't believe you." And it's like, "No, for real, it did, dude. It did, though." Actually, here's an easy explanation. A dark pattern is a free trial notification that is hard to intentionally not see. Oh, yeah, so like a 6-day free trial. And it doesn't warn you whenever the free trial is over. I see.
The more likely we are to
Because like instead of the average 7 or 30 days, it's 6 days.
continue to invest in that game and invest in future things that you do. However, the vast majority of the industry is really doing nothing other than creating unloyal fan bases.
Dude, I would never buy Adobe. It's crazy to me at this point. I mean, I get people don't want to support AI, but I'd rather use AI than you pay for Adobe every single day of the week. Adobe is a dark pattern in the most literal sense, yeah. Yeah, Adobe is like actual scumbag company. I would never buy their products ever. Not in a million years. Well, that was a great video. I liked that a lot, honestly. Dude, let's see how long. Oh my god, you guys, this was ridiculous. How long is this video? Oh Jesus, we gotta stop myself, you guys. You gotta stop me sometimes. I just turned a 30-minute into a 2-hour. That's too much. That's too much.